So we're chatting with the guys at HAIRitage Barber Shop about all of the biggest headlines. Y'all ready to talk?
What's going on, y'all? Good morning, good day. We're here at another episode of HAIRitage Sports Talk, where we talk about everything on the outside, we talk about everything on the inside, and everything in the cut. It's a place where we listen to the rumors. We don't talk about them. We only talking the truth here today. We got a lot to get through today, so we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to bring in Mr. Tony Harvey at this point. Mr. Harvey, how you doing this morning, sir?
We're doing great this morning, Mr. Rod Legendary Brown. Thanks for the introduction. It's always a pleasure to be working with you. And yes, we do have a lot to get into as far as sports, but I do want to thank everybody for, sharing their time and checking out another episode of HAIRitage Sports Talk.
I want to introduce Mr. Rick Fame. Mr. Rick Fame, he's the flyest in the city. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, Rodney, Legendary Raw Brown, Antonio Ray Harvey.
What's happening, my brother Fame?
And the flies in the city, man. How
Yes,
you guys
sir.
doing?
You're doing great. It's good to hear from you. Good to see you as always.
So we're going to add, into this incredible team, like always, we're going to add Mr. Speed, Mr. D Speed. Welcome to HAIRitage Sports Talk on this lovely morning, sir.
What's happening, man? Your favorite young OG. Hey, Rick, can I get an intro like that, bro? You gave Mr. Rodney Legendary Brown, Mr. Antonio Ray Harvey. Come on, man.
The magnificent D Speed.
Hey, man,
Good morning, man.
Tony, you ain't gonna leave me out, big dog.
Hey, I'm gonna roll out the red carpet for you, brother.
Yeah.
A philanthropist,
Come on.
one and only D Speed.
Holla if you hear me.
EPA, East Palo Alto, California.
You can't be
We
telling
need
me
that. We need that air horn, that.
What's happening?
Yes,
with the
sir.
fellas
Bay Area's
this morning,
finest in the
man?
house, y'all. Mr. D Speed.
Yes, sir. So while we keep pushing forward, we're going to add Mr. EL, Mr. Elijah Lewis, our favorite Raider fan. What's going on, Elijah? Good morning, sir.
Hi, I'm just happy to be here today.
You hit us with that boring.
Well, we're happy to have you here today,
Not
sir.
your neighborhood looking.
Yeah, you gonna get us with that boring hello. Try to give me that.
Yeah,
You better act like you happy to see us. I'm happy to see you.
Right.
Oh, man. We do got a special guest today. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Tony Harvey and let him introduce our special guest, the man, 20 years in the game, plus more. Tony, it's on you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, we do have a special guest today, and as you know, folks, working with these talented barbers and Elijah as well, and we talk about a lot of things, in sports, and we try to blend in everything that we possibly can. So I definitely want to invite on the show a really accomplished sports writer. I'm gonna just say reporter overall. He's been just doing some great work here in Northern California. He's from the Bay Area himself. He's a graduate of Oakland Technical High School, and he's a graduate of Sacramento State University. That's where I met this young man of many, many years ago. I'm not going to, give away our edge and stuff like that. But as I said, he's a really gifted, talented reporter, and he covers a lot of high school sports around here in the Sacramento area. Matter of fact, his work has appeared in the San Francisco Chronicle, the Sacramento Bee, the Fresno Bee, the Modesto Bee, KQED. He gets around. I want to introduce you, my friend, and great sports writer, Nick Lozito. He's also an author too, if I didn't mention.
Thanks for having me, guys.
About that. How you doing, Nick?
Doing great. Looking forward to this.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And just to preface that, we have spoke about Nick, in these past few episodes. He does have a book out that he focused on the Natomas High School boys basketball team. He's going to talk about that a little bit later. And matter of fact, Coach McKenzie brought that up to us, so we definitely want to touch bases on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, Nick, go ahead. Just introduce yourself. Let people know who you are from your point of view, and then we'll jump right into the show.
Sure. Yeah. Tony said a lot of it, but met Tony at Sacramento State, worked at the school newspaper together. And I've been working for newspapers for the last 20 years up and down California with a 3-year stop with the Sacramento River Cats, where actually I saw Tony again pretty often. He was covering the team there, and I was working as a media relations coordinator for the River Cats.
I want to jump into the NCAA, and we'll start with the women's side of it. Duke's the first Power 4 school to win a conference title. Let's talk about the women's side of the NCAA and like who's favorite. Who are we looking at that might be long shots that actually do something in the mix of it?
Thanks for bringing that up, because you did mention a name that I almost forgot, and I know he was going to bring it up. The University, Duke University. That team is being coached by Kara Lawson. Kara Lawson used to play for the Sacramento Monarchs 15, 16 years ago. She went on, she was doing some broadcasting work. She used to work for ESPN. Then she was an assistant coach for the Boston Celtics. Then she got hired by Duke University. She has turned that program, women's program, around. And currently they are ranked number 11 in the country. So I do want to, give big ups to Kara Lawson and the work that she's doing with that women's program. And you talk about passionate and someone being someone who's inspired to do their work. She's a philosopher. Okay, she really teaches these women to be the ultimate professional, productive citizens. So that's another thing that I like about her work and how actually is from her teaching when she played at the University of Tennessee for many, many years and won a couple championships. Now she's just blending that out here. Well, she's keeping it in the college game, and that's the good part about it. Duke is ranked number 11, but the number 1 team, well, they got knocked off yesterday, and that was Texas. And who did they get beat by? South Carolina, who I think is going to win it all again this year. But, man, South Carolina beat the pants off of Texas yesterday. I mean, they jumped out on them 25-7, and they ended up winning 65-45. I thought it would have been a little bit closer game. But South Carolina, they took it to them. Also, UCLA, they got USC. They got Juju Watkins and USC yesterday. USC had beaten UCLA 2 previous times, but when it counted in the Big Ten championships, they were down by 13 points in the first half, and then UCLA stormed back and won the Big Ten championship. I think they're going to be a contender, in the NCAA tournaments that start in a couple of weeks as well. And, UConn is ranked high, ranked number 3rd. They're always a contender for this, this big stage, the big dance and stuff. So women's basketball, I love women's basketball. That's why I speak passionately about it.
I can tell. Hey, man, ain't nothing to be ashamed about, though, because I too am a fan and an appreciative of women's basketball, and I'm a huge fan of Miss Staley and South Carolina, the Gamecocks. I've been following their journey for a while. But ever since she got head coach, brother, she turned that whole franchise around. It's kind of symbolic to what Deion did with Jackson to me. So that's why I like it. It's kind of like the underdog now rising to the top. And she's created a dope program, bro. Like, you got to get her head off to them Gamecocks.
Don Staley.
Shout out to the Gamecocks. That's hometown. So my father was born, got a bunch of family out there, Columbia, South Carolina. They used to always come out and come back to California and bring me a bunch of Gamecock stuff. And I was like, what is a Gamecock? Being born and raised in California, having family from South Carolina, Columbia, they always used to bring that Gamecock apparel and jerseys and give them to me and gift them to me. And I've been keeping up with them ever since, man. Shout out to all the Gilmores out there. We had Stephon Gilmore, a relative of mine. Went to the Gamecocks, went to South Carolina in college. It's still in the NFL playing. Man, I got a bunch of family out that way, so I've been kind of watching the Gamecocks, man and women's athletics. So, like I said, go Gamecocks.
Gamecock is a chicken. I've just preface this as well. Back in the plantation days.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
They used to have these type of competitions between these chickens. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. They used to go at it, bantamweight, whatever you want to call it. That was the deal back there way before our time. But yeah, Gamecock.
Oh, man.
South Carolina is traditionally known as a football school, but as we know, what Don Staley is doing with that women program is, a standout basketball franchise out there. So yeah, they're doing some great work there in that great state of South Carolina. So
Don Staley is it's something about the way that she can get those girls energized and pull out the greatness in them. And I seen it when her first year. Like, and I like to watch behind the scenes stuff. I really don't like to pay attention to what we see on TV. I want to know the person, and she's phenomenal, bro. Like, she's actually an actual dope inspirational speaker. I've heard her talk at a couple of events. Yeah, that woman, man, if she can fire them girls up off top.
Definitely. All right. So let's go to the men's side. It begins March 16th. 68 teams also. The first four from March 18th and 19th. The first round's March 20th and 21st. Second round's the 22nd, 23rd. And then we got the Sweet 16 was 27th, 28th. The Elite Eight, the 29th and the 30th. And then we hit the Final Four around April 5th. And then April 7th in San Antonio, Texas is the championship. What teams are we looking at to bolster for that championship?
UConn. I'm gonna pick UConn for the three-peat.
Consumers River College. Now, that's what I'm thinking.
Tony champion.
Hey, man.
I don't know, Nick. What you got to say? What do you think about this men's tournament that's coming up? I know the first and second round, I believe, is going to be at the Chase Center in San Francisco. We don't know what those teams are going to be because they haven't played their. Most of the teams haven't played their conference tourney yet. But what's your thoughts about it?
I wanted to say one thing about the women's side. Sharman Smith at Cal, she had some really down years at Cal about 3 or 4 years ago, and surprisingly, they stuck with her. Everyone thought they were going to fire her, and other programs probably would have because college teams go through coaches so quick nowadays. But they stuck with her, and she's finally reaping the rewards of some good recruiting classes. So the Cal women's basketball team I wanted to shout out was Sharman Smith. I think they won 23, 24 games in the ACC, which is a tough conference. So they'll be going to the tournament. I'm not predicting them to go anywhere, but they might. But I just wanted to give them a shout out for sticking with her. I could probably name more women's basketball players than men's basketball players at this point, honestly. So I can't speak much on the men's tournament.
You don't know anything about Cooper Flag? Come on, I know you heard of Cooper Flag, man. Everybody heard of Cooper Flag down at Duke. I know they gave it to my University of Illinois team a couple of weeks ago. That was their worst beating in school history and stuff. But I am a Cooper Flag fan, and I do believe he's going to be a number one overall selection in the NBA draft coming up this summer. But so Duke is going to be in contention too.
You taking Duke then, right?
Actually, man, I want to see how far Michigan State can go in the Big Ten. I really like what's going on with them. Of course, I'll say it again. They beat my Fighting Illini and stuff like that. But they got some really great talent on that team, and they're really, really deep. I'm also looking at Alabama. They had a nice run last year, right behind UConn. They're going to contend for the title. Of course, got to give it up to UConn, another team that flipped off Illinois and stuff like that. But Kenny Hurley, he got that team rolling and stuff like that. I look for them to make a deep run in the tournament once it starts.
Yeah, Hurley gonna do a deep run. I think there are gonna be a lot of people busting brackets because you have to remember always your consistent teams, even though they don't do so hot, they will win their. I have seen it with my own eyes. They will win their tournaments, get into the dance, and go and mess people up. Teams like Gonzaga, Pepperdine. You have to watch that West Coast Conference, man. That Jesuit Conference will be a deadly conference to watch out, whoever they get to. And you can't forget the SWAC. Those two conferences are always going to come and get you. They're going to get you from the back and be like, bam!
Yeah, it's going to be real competitive these next few weeks. As we know, we got all these super conferences right now. Certainly the Big Ten will carry 10 teams from that conference into the tournament. The Big East, there's going to be another 10 teams coming out that conference. The SEC, which is always really good, about another 10 teams coming out of there. I think one of these conferences might even carry 13 teams. Now that's pretty much unheard of, but since all these teams have, you know, kind of like united and joined, I mean, UCLA and USC is in the Big Ten. All right. I don't know about USC, but UCLA is definitely going to be in the conference. They're going to be one of those top 10 conferences from the Big Ten that's going to be here too. It's going to be a pretty interesting ride. Men basketball, the Big Dance is always one of the top showcases around this time because we are in March Madness. Definitely looking forward to this competition coming up, men and women.
Hey, Rick, how Elijah say they was gonna get you like what? What did he say, Rick?
No,
Nah, he said get you like bam. Do it again, Elijah. Oh my goodness.
Bam!
I love it, bro. I thought it was. Hey, what was that dude? The cook, Emerald something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that's what was on the phone for a second.
Did you guys see the? I think Michigan played Michigan State the other day.
Yeah.
And it was the last home game for Michigan State seniors. So they do something where they, and I don't know, I'm assuming Michigan State was winning, but either way, the game was winding down and the Michigan State players wanted to kiss half court, to say goodbye to the arena or whatever they've been playing in. And the Michigan players just stood right on half court and didn't let them get to their spot.
No, I didn't see that. Man.
They ended up shoving back and forth and going at it a little bit, kind of similar to what Ohio State and Michigan did on the horseshoe in football season. So that's becoming kind of a thing between those Big Ten teams where they kind of squabble over the, what goes on at midcourt or midfield.
We know Michigan and Michigan State stay funkin' though.
Yeah, no doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah, some of the most hostile environments in college athletics. Big Ten, especially when they're on them road games. I mean, those students, they bring everything except the kitchen sink to throw at you. Stuff. It can get really, really nasty, and I'm not surprised that Michigan and Michigan State would be in the mix like that.
They didn't make the tournament, but Leonard Hamilton stepping down after, he's been coaching forever. He's 76 years old. I think he's coached the last 20 years at Florida State. They're not going to the tournament, but I think he's coached his last game. That's a pretty amazing career for him.
They just hired Luke Louts, who was the assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings. He is a Florida State alumni, so he's going back to a coach's team that he used to play for.
That's what's up.
He's been at Sacramento Kings for the last 3 seasons himself. So, congratulations on that, Luke Louts.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Let's stick with this. Let's stick with some basketball, y'all. Over this past weekend, we saw Jokic. He created history for the NBA. It's the first 30-20-20 triple-double with 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 22 assists. That's when Denver beat the Suns. Are the Suns done? And does Denver really stand a chance? Because they just got beat last night by SGA and the Thunder. So,
yeah. Right. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man, he's a scoring machine, man. There's no stopping him at all. Going to the lane, slashing, pulling up for 2 points, pulling up for 3 points. He does it all. He even gets rebounds and assists too as well. And there was OKC is a pretty solid team, pretty solid ball club. Denver is too as well. They're going back and forth. Even Jamal Murray was getting his hoop on for the Denver Nuggets. And kind of setting up, Joker for the 3-point shot and feeding them in the paint. So that game was a very high-paced game. As a matter of fact, they play again tonight. So it's going to be another good game tonight for sure.
But to answer your question, yes, the Suns are done. Off top, it's over for them. I don't know what they can do. Look who they got star power, bro. Bradley Beal. You got Kevin Durant. You got my boy What's my light skin? Devin Booker. Like, come on, man.
Is it so? Speed? Do you think that it has something to do with their bench? Because they do. They got star power, but is it the bench that's not carrying, or is it the stars not carrying?
It's the team that's not carrying. I'm not gonna ever point it like one way or the other. They got to gel as a squad. We all know that starters can't stay on the floor. So yes, you got to make sure you got some depth and talent on your bench, and you got to plug and play.
Man, Tennis got bull, man.
Hey, bro, you got to think.
Dog right there, you know. Rest in peace. It was Father Manu Ball, which was a ball player as well. But and they just need more pieces, man. You know, Bradley
What more
Beal.
did you need? You
Do they?
got enough.
I mean,
You think
nah,
they
man.
need more pieces?
Bradley Beal is not consistent. He does.
Or do they,
Even Kevin Durant's not.
but do you think
No,
they need more pieces, or do they need to exchange pieces? Like, does something need to
no,
leave in order for them to build up more? That's the point.
Start swapping them out. That's what you need to
yeah,
do.
they need
Swap
more.
some of them
Yeah,
pieces out. Like you just
they need
said,
more.
Bradley Beal ain't there, and I like KD. Like real talk, I like KD. He's a tarantula for a reason. But Rick just said it, bro. Consistency. The
You
Phoenix,
know,
they got a problem with consistency, bro. You'll be hot for a game, or you'll be hot for a moment in a game, but you can't stay consistent, and you have too much talent, too much star power on that team to not have those. Get some of them cats off the bench. Get somebody in there to talk to them. Like, you're not playing consistent. So what do you expect? When these young guns, you got SGA over there, bro. He gonna light you up. You can't stop him. Nobody on your squad can. Find me somebody who
All
can even
day.
stop Joker. Like, you can't do it. You're not playing consistent enough to keep doing so. These young dudes is coming out balling. They gonna blow your knees up, Bradley Bill. They gonna tear your Achilles up, KD, if you keep playing like that. And Devin Booker, I don't know what they gonna do to you, but hey,
the
Well, you know,
Suns.
he, he,
D Speed.
he's
I
busy
totally
just
agree with you, man. I don't understand why you would have one of the most talented teams in the NBA and you're that inconsistent about your play. They're one of the most ridiculous things. And no, they're not that deep on the bench. They don't play good defense. Okay. But still, yet, you have these players like Booker and Durant who can still bring it. But right now, it seems like they're at odds with the coach, Nick Nurse,
yeah, I
at
agree.
times and stuff like that. Him and Booker, been going at it, publicly in the media and stuff like. I just don't know what the Suns want to do. I don't think
Phoenix
the Suns
Suns,
know what
Phoenix
they
Suns are
want to
like the
do.
Raiders on paper. They like the Las Vegas Raiders on paper. They will always look good and aesthetically got the talent, the power. But when it comes time to perform, I don't know. Rick, what you got on that, Rick? What's your opinion on that? Because you really in depth with basketball. I watch it on the surface.
First of all, for me, you know, being a fantasy fan, I watch basketball every single night. I look at every single stat as much as I can, and like I said, the consistency is not there with the Suns. Um, Devin Booker, you know, he's dating the Kardashian girl right now, so probably them
So
up.
you saying he's done?
That's true though.
So you know
Hey,
what
so
I'm saying?
you saying he got a
This,
Kardashian, Curtis?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
is
yeah,
this
man.
Kardashian
Kylie
first
Jenner,
coming
I
out?
believe. No,
Yeah,
is
he's
it?
a Kardashian girl, man. So his head's all messed up. So Kevin Durant, he's gonna be Durant, but you know, they just need more pieces to the puzzle. You know what I
No
mean? For them
Kardashians
to,
should date any athletes ever again. They tear their career up. Ask Reggie Bush.
yeah, they tear everybody up.
Ask. Hey, what was the dude that played for Brooklyn that Kim was married to for a minute?
Oh yeah, uh,
Come on,
Oh,
he played for
What's the
Brooklyn.
white guy? Oh God,
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Is that
I know who you're talking
Humphries?
about.
Chris
Chris
Humphries?
Humphries. Chris
Yeah.
Chris
Humphries.
Humphrey, yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Humphrey, yeah,
So
there
like,
you
three.
go.
y'all tearing these dudes' career up. Stop dating these athletes. Go get you an actor or somebody. Go get somebody in the music industry. Well,
They
nah,
did
you
go get
still
an
Kanye.
actor. They got
They do all around. They get Kanye West.
All right, well, go
What
get you a
is
regular
look,
degular. Go get
who's
my
the
homie.
actor,
Go,
Elijah?
hey, go get Chris at AMPM then. Don't mess with the athletes. Don't mess with our actors. Y'all are tearing these men up. Man, shout out
Man, I'm
Lamar
trying
Odom. Nah.
Yes, sir. So
to think
you got we got the Suns, right?
Mhm.
So we kind of figure like they're pretty much out of it, but then you got the Mavericks. Now the Mavericks look like they had an opportunity, but Kyrie recently The ACL is gone. They're on the outside looking in, even though they're sitting in the playing spot. But what does that do for the Mavericks? Should they shut it down?
Can I speak to that? Oh, I want to talk about this one.
Get him, Elijah.
Here is my again. I think that this was all orchestrated. Honestly, they want to move that team. This is all over a casino and gambling. Even though Kyrie has hurt himself, that puts the owner in the position where she wants to be at to move that team. It's just, I know we're talking about politics on top of sports, but with Kyrie, with that's also going to take Kyrie's spot down. I see them trying to shovel Kyrie in a trade in the offseason at the same time.
So you think it's more traded chaos?
Yeah, I think after the trade, everything created chaos, and this is the chaos they want to. Think about it. Those guys could have knocked the Boston Celtics off last year. They just need to get themselves together. And the thing is, how are you going to go from the team that could have knocked the Boston Celtics off to end the dumpster? This was done on purpose. On purpose.
I don't think it would be like, I don't know if it's political or physical health. I just know it was funny when the face of that franchise was Luka, and I'm watching the game the other night, and the face of the franchise they got on there is Klay Thompson. Like, it skipped Kyrie. It skipped, like, come on, man. It's been over when they decided to take that trade for Anthony Davis. I'm cool. It's over.
Yeah.
They're not going to make no noise.
Kyrie tore his ACL up against the playing in the Sacramento Kings game. It was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. And I figured, that was going to be a damaging thing. They were already worried about him anyway because he's been playing some heavy minutes, since they haven't had the service of Anthony Davis. So, but as like Elijah said, I mean, this team was in the finals, the NBA final last year, and they had a chance to knock off the Boston Celtics. But I still thought that was a great accomplishment within itself. So it's it's one of those things how the mighty has failed. They made a couple trades in the middle of the season last year. They got P.J. Washington and they got Gafford from the Washington Wizards, and they made that run. Now you done traded away, the face of the franchise to the Los Angeles Lakers. The guy that you thought was going to step up and carry you this year, he's still out. He's still out. What they call him, street clothes? What they call Anthony Davis, street clothes or something like that? Well, he's still in street clothes, and the team is struggling. I mean, as of yesterday, they only had 7 available players, and they played tonight. And the league minimum, you got to have 8 players. I can't see this team forfeiting the game in the NBA. I don't even know if that ever happened in the association, but this team is in turmoil. There is chaos. Now, I don't know, the franchise been in Dallas for, 40, 45 years? I don't know, to the extent of what Elijah just mentioned there, but this team is in chaos. It is, like I said, the mighty has fallen a long way. I just really feel bad about it because, Kidd coached this team to the finals. Of course, this is the team that drafted him, back in the 90s. So he's really familiar with this organization. He gets to be a coach. They did some things. They reworked his contract. They gave him an extension. Now you trade away the best player. Now he just stuck with this, and trying to manage it the best way he can. What a terrible thing to happen to a franchise like this. They're in the 10th spot. They're right behind the Sacramento Kings. They can hold on and make it, as a playing team, but there's not much, that they're not going to gain a lot, in the Western Conference.
I wouldn't be surprised if Portland's making a little bit of a run here.
They're right behind them.
They might.
Portland is right behind them, and Chauncey Billups is doing some great things with their young ball club as of late. They're right behind them. They could slip up right behind them and take over the Suns and the Dallas Mavericks and slip into that 10th spot. There's still about 19, 20 games left in this season, so we'll see what happens.
They have enough time. You have any thoughts on that, Nick, besides Portland?
No, I think everything's kind of set in the West except for that 10th spot. I can see Dallas. I think Dallas is going to slide hard the rest of the season unless Anthony Davis comes back and gives them some type of presence. But I can see Portland slipping in there. I could see the Suns accidentally making that 10th spot. But one thing about the Suns that I thought was, and I thought it when they signed all those guys, like it's a little bit weird to me to build a team around 3 volume shooters.
Yeah.
If they didn't deal Ayton to Portland and maybe kept Ayton and you know let Bradley Beal or Booker or Durant even like stay somewhere else, and there's not that much versatility in the top of that roster. It's just kind of 3 guys who want to put the ball up and don't shoot for.
It just don't make sense. That team just doesn't make sense to me. The way it's orchestrated, it don't look right, and they're not playing right. So you getting what you pay for what you get.
Yeah, I think they got those guys and they're like, we'll figure it out. We got 3 really good players. We'll figure something out, and they never figured it out.
That's true. That's true. Tony, you had brought something up about Kyrie getting hurt when they came in when they was playing sack. So let's bring it back home. Let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. They lost last night by 1 point, which I thought they should have won the game. They could have stayed a little bit stronger. But you sat there and you watched the return of Fox over the weekend. How was the response from the fans alone, not just the fans, but Sacramento itself into Fox's return back home, in which the Kings did win that game convincingly? Mm-hmm. How was the vibe in the room down there at the G1 Center?
Well, first of all, the Kings did lose last night by a hook shot by Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers in overtime. And you roll back to Friday. That was the return of De'Aaron Fox. It's the first time he's came back to Sacramento since he was traded to the San Antonio Spurs. The Sacramento Kings, they handled him really well. I think the score was 127-109. It was a busy day, at least for me, because I had to go down there for the shoot around for the Kings, and I had to go, the shoot arounds for the Spurs. This was earlier in the day. We interviewed De'Aaron there for the first time in an opposing team uniform. And then, of course, later on that night, we had to cover De'Aaron. De'Aaron, he scored 16 points. He was 6 for 17 shooting from the field. I forget how many assists he had. He might have had 8 or 9 assists, but the team, San Antonio, is without Victor Wembanyama, who was in the building. He did travel with the team, but he's out for the rest of the season. But, at the beginning of the game, doing the introductions, De'Aaron got booed. There were some cheers. So it was a mixed emotion. But then they showed a video presentation, I would say 5 minutes into the first quarter. Then everybody stood up and gave him an ovation. Okay? Yeah, but every time he touched that ball, every time he touched that basketball on the court, he got booed. But, this is Sacramento. Sacramento Kings fans are really passionate about their organization. They're going to root for their team, cheer for their team. De'Aaron, he understood that. He said that after the game during the press conference. As I said before we went on the air, most of the reporters and bloggers, because we do have bloggers who think they are reporters, local-wise, was in that presser after the game with De'Aaron. It was full. Usually they only stay on one side, covering the Kings and what Doug Christie have to say. But, hey, he looked like he was at peace to himself. So I'm really okay with that. I'm glad they got that part out the way. One of the interesting things that came out of that, Rodney, and the rest of my colleagues, he has this really deformed finger that he has to get surgery on, and he did mention that it's going to get looked at March 17th in LA, and that's De'Aaron Fox that I'm talking about. I think he's about to shut down for the rest of the season too. My personal opinion, it's just my commentary, that he wanted to make sure that he played in Sacramento before he had the surgery done on that pinky finger.
I don't think Sac fans should have booed him, bro. De'Aaron did a lot for this franchise and kind of helped turn it around and get the buzz going back for him. I know towards the end he kind of wanted to get traded, but at the end of the day, he didn't say, hey, send me here, send me there. It is what it is, man. It's sports, bro. Like, stop booing that man. He did a lot for this team. I ain't no hater against him, and I ain't no fun tech.
I don't know if you guys caught that, too, at the end of the game. De'Aaron Fox's wife was kind of getting that monk on the sideline.
No.
She was really him, though. She was pressing. She was talking about something, man, and Monk was just trying to, plead his case, and he just walked off on her. But she was talking back at him like they were going back and forth. I don't know what it was about or what it was over, but she had some things on her mind she had to say to Monk. I seen it on social media. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's viral.
Probably
It's
telling them
viral.
like, hey,
I saw that exchange, and I understand it. Whatever went on with them,
Yeah.
is their business. That's the way I see it. We all know that De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, they grew up together on the AAU circuit, so they've been knowing each other all their lives. Okay, it got a little bit salty on the way out the door with De'Aaron, and
yeah, but I'm
hey,
pretty sure Fox probably did one of those, call him up like, hey man, my bad. You know how the misses get. You know what it
exactly.
is. But it's like boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah,
boom. I mean,
definitely.
you got to think the sometimes the girlfriends and the wives of these professional athletes, they get a little involved because on the back scene, that circle is a little closer. Like this girl is this like so it's weird. But the brotherhood and them two, they men, bro. They gonna handle stuff like men and like athletes, and with them having history, I'm pretty sure it was just a heated moment, a heated exercise that got cooled off by a conversation and the dinner.
Some they
Speaking
just probably had to clear the air. I understand that, and it's
speaking of,
business.
kind of me of LeBron James, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh wow, yeah, that's another one.
Somebody had asked me, well, we're going to talk about the LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, that's two grown men. Let them two grown men discuss whatever it is. We ain't got nothing to do with that. That's like me and you on the street and somebody filming us talking about, well, it looked like it was a heated conversation. That's between us. We know how to hash it out. We know how to get it done. Whatever that needs to be said is
The
going to be said.
history, Stephen A.
I
Smith went
support that 100% though, Roddy, and I'll say it like this: uh, Stephen A. Smith spoke out on his son, okay, which is okay, all right, but it seems like sometimes Stephen kind of make it personal, be it
Right.
right, be it wrong. I'm the father, okay. I'm gonna protect my son. You
Mhm.
don't say nothing about my son. You got something to say to me, you bring it to me.
on.
Okay?
Right.
You bring it to me. But then again, like you said, Rodney, that's their business. That's
Yeah.
between him and LeBron and Steven. Let that be. It probably could have been handled a different way. I don't know. Maybe that was the perfect time, as we saw, with Reese and Malik Monk, here in Sacramento a couple nights. That's their business. But we do know Stephen A. Smith. He can take you there.
He a
He can take
habitual
you
line
there, and
stepper.
sometimes you can go over the
Stephen A
edge.
is a habitual line stepper.
About that, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
Rick.
He
Rick.
went, he went on air. He went on air the next day and just tried to explain what happened. I'm like, I don't know why this man explained what happened. Everybody saw what happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, he just put his business out there because he volunteered to put his business out there. So that's how
Speaking
that.
of LeBron, though, Rick. Hey, what's up with that fake injury?
Oh,
So
LeBron.
let's
Oh
talk
yeah.
about that.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
talk about that.
What,
The
what,
groin injury, yeah.
LeBron,
tired?
LeBron's hurt. Nick, can the Lakers hold on to the number 2 seed?
Are they in the 2 seed now?
They're in the
Yes.
Yeah.
2 seed because Nuggets lost again last night.
Oh wow. I guess so. I didn't hear about. I didn't hear
I
about.
like Nick
I didn't hear about LeBron's
responding.
injury. Two things though about Fox. You mentioned, or somebody mentioned the fact that Vivek never did an interview after they fired Mike Brown, and
Right.
I think De'Aaron Fox was put into a tough position having to answer questions that he shouldn't have had to answer, and I think that probably turned him off. I think he said that as well. I know a couple pieces came out over the last weekend about kind of breaking down exactly what happened in that situation, but I think that was part of his frustration. And then I forget my other point on that, but I don't know about the Lakers. I think they're definitely they won out on that Dallas trade, that's for sure. And I wouldn't I wouldn't underestimate what LeBron can do in the playoffs, but
Off top, it was an orchestrated injury.
what
Well,
was
he's
I
out.
don't
He's,
know.
he's supposed to be out for like He's supposed to be out for like 1 or 2 weeks with that groin injury.
Yeah,
So
that ain't nothing. He'll be back, Rick.
at
He
least
gonna
they're
be
supposed to
back, Rick.
reevaluate it in another week or so. But I
Hey,
don't know.
Rick.
LeBron,
Does
40 years old. He can't bear it out for 82 games out the season. He's been playing phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best players on the planet right now. At this stage of the game, he's playing at a high level and stuff. But
I mean, I see this.
Let him take off a few games. I mean, I know it's a seesaw battle between Denver and Lakers, for that second and third spot, which the Lakers are sitting in the second spot and stuff. But I don't think there's going to be any problem going forward because we know once the playoffs start, LeBron is going to be there and he's going to be a top performer. So
It was just bad.
1 or 2 weeks, whatever is happening here, maybe Luka can carry that team. Luka Doncic can carry that team until he gets back.
One thing on the last thing on Fox was I don't mind I think you cheer when he's introduced. I think you cheer during the video, but I don't have a problem with them booing when he touches the ball. I think once the ball's in play, you're trying to beat him.
At that point,
that's the name of the game.
Back to beat.
But yeah, there was a lot of things that came out of there that put De'Aaron in a really, really difficult situation, especially after the fire of Mike Brown. We didn't hear from the owner, and we definitely didn't hear from the GM, Monty McNair or Wes Wilcox. They waited 6 weeks later to talk to the local media about the whole situation, which kind of even made it worse because everybody think this fell on De'Aaron Fox. And I read that report, and that report is by Sam Amick, Nick Lozito. Sam, he came out of Sac State too. He's a national reporter, insider, and I trust his work. I trust his reporting. He didn't want to put that out, but it was said De'Aaron did not want Mike Brown fired, but he had to take the bullets afterwards and stuff. That wasn't his deal. That's on the franchise. That's on the people who fired Mike Brown. So just wanted to clear that part up.
Definitely. All right, fellas, let's move on to a different arena. Let's go into the NFL arena. DK Metcalf went to the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers possibly going to the Steelers. Josh Allen signs a record deal with Buffalo. They shut down the other deal. They put up a new one. He's getting approximately $55 million a year. Myles Garrett re-signs with the Browns after he requested a trade. And then you got Bobby Wagner re-signs with the Washington Commanders. And then you got Devontae Adams. He's with the Rams now. And we know that the free agency started today. Are we looking for these major moves in NFL and some of these teams that's really going we'll know a lot more by the end of the day, definitely by the end of the week. But as far as these previously moves that these teams have made, are we looking at, per se, the Raiders getting Geno Smith? He was just traded from the Seattle, I can't even think of their name. See, I'm a Niners. But he was just traded from there to the Vegas Raiders. What does the shift of these teams look like for the NFL coming up in this season?
Well, they better get together, man, because the Eagles are waiting on them.
Oh, here you go. I knew you was going to. That's why I purposely didn't say nothing, bro. I knew you was going to say something about the day. Ain't nobody even mentioned the Eagles, bro.
At all. They ain't even made no moves. It's a new season. Let's start fresh, Rick.
Nobody even say nothing about the Eagles. Get that out. It's over with. Y'all got the ring. We'll wait for the ceremony. Nah, hey, I'm sad though, man. Devontae went to the Rams, bro. I really was kind of holding off because he is, a Bay Area native, one of my hometown partners. As far as family wise, Devontae grew up in East Palo Alto, and I really kind of wanted to see him go to the Niners. They had a shot, but I mean, you back in Cali, I guess I can be cool with the Rams. As far as everything else, I got a question though, because I didn't do on the Steelers move. I didn't really research that one too much. What's going on with Russell Wilson? Are they letting him go? Because don't you got Russell Wilson and don't you got Fields?
Mm-hmm.
So you brought another quarterback?
They talking to him.
That's something.
I think they're going to move on from him. He might be looking at another organization coming in next season. And that's
who might be looking at one?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, it's over for the big.
I would think so. I mean, I'm not saying Russell is on his last leg or anything like that, but there's still a possibility. That he can still play, but the Steelers, you just spoke about it. Roddy just spoke about it, all these moves that they're making. They're trying to win. They're trying to get back there.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to make the playoff, but they're going after the Super Bowl.
They want that big one.
They want that big thing. That's That's the only thing that they can see, with Mike Tomlin as the head
Wilson
coach.
and them bringing in, say they do bring in Rodgers. Do you think that's a better fit or
I
a better?
don't.
I
Hell
don't
no. Don't
know.
even bring.
I don't
Leave
know.
Rodgers
It
where he
depends.
at, bro.
One thing
Rodgers
that's
don't
shaky
need to
about
go
them is
nowhere.
their receiving
Rodgers
core.
is tripping, bro. Rodgers
Or
don't need
does
to go
Rodgers?
nowhere. His time frame is over. Wilson, I could see his time frame always. I mean, lightweight being over. I was done with him. I ain't gonna lie. I got a little grudge. I was done with Wilson when he didn't make that audible in that huddle and say, "Forget what the refs or what the coach said. We gonna get
Run that
Marshawn."
ball.
Man, Wilson don't got no backbone, and the way that he was treating his team, even then, I'm cool off, bro. Your time is done. Stay being a dope husband and dance like Sierra.
What do the Browns do? Even though they got Garrett back, do they? I mean, that's not going to make the team.
Look at his thick face.
What did they
Look
give
at his
him? A
thick face.
$204 million deal? 122 of it is guaranteed.
Something
Get your
crazy.
money,
He
player.
did got something like 102 sacks since 2017, since he's been in
He's
the
still
league. He had
dominant.
10.5 sacks, I believe, last season. And Cleveland has only made the playoffs like 2 times since he's been in the uniform. Okay. But they felt that, it was necessary, to go ahead and get this deal done so they didn't lose him. And as we know, Max Crosby signed a similar deal with the Raiders. Okay, and I don't know what the Raiders going. I did say, Rodney, that they got Geno Smith and things like that. But Cleveland, what are we trying to do in here? You have a quarterback who's not performing, and he gets paid a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So for them to sign, Myles Garrett, and I love him as he was a defensive player about a season ago, a couple seasons ago. He brings it, on the defensive side for that squad. That's why they're one of the better defensive teams in the league. But they're not winning the way they're supposed to be. And I know that, they can't even make the playoffs. I think he only made the playoffs 2 or 3 times since he's been with the squad, and he's putting up these insane numbers.
So
I
you
don't know
gonna
what
keep
they're
what
trying to
works.
do,
You
I mean,
folks.
keep what works and you add in, Rick.
they didn't want Myles Garrett to go to the Philadelphia Eagles, man, because they
Man,
were.
stop with this damn
Did
Eagles,
you
bro.
bring him up?
No, I'm being serious, bro. There's
Okay.
something, bro. That's the reason why Cleveland hurried up and signed him, bro.
I will say this: if
Bro.
if the Philly would have picked up Myles Garrett, I would have been hella nervous because Myles Garrett is a hell of a defender player,
No,
bro.
we were searching, we trying to get him, man, after the Super Bowl.
Boy, listen, y'all would have did some damage if y'all would have got him. I understand Cleveland keeping him. I get it. You need to. That dude
Honestly,
is.
I mean, if he want to build a team, they might need to start there and sign him and get other players.
Yeah, that's on the defensive end. Now they got to fix that offensive problem.
They get a high draft pick and pick a quarterback.
Yep.
I don't know if George Sanders or Cam Ward.
I don't think they're gonna get like that high of a number to get him.
Yeah. Elijah, how you feel about the Raiders, man? The few moves that they have made.
I think that what they're doing is that they have Pete Carroll's trying to build his Seahawks team back from the year that he got fired. By going to get Geno Smith, that was a steal. Getting him for what was a 5th round draft pick or is a 3rd round draft pick?
3rd round.
It's a 3rd round? Yeah, and with that 3rd round, they're going to just try to go ahead and use their draft pick to go ahead and get receivers or a running back, I think, or some defense, instead of trying to go after a franchise quarterback and then go ahead and get another quarterback as a second stringer that can go ahead and work off of Geno whatever years he has left. That's what I think I'm seeing. I'm seeing Pete Carroll trying to build that West Coast offense back around him.
But what's that gonna do for the Raiders, though? Like, what adding Geno Smith? What's that gonna do with what they got now? What's that gonna do for the Raiders?
8-9.
Nick, what you say?
8-9, baby.
Yeah, I'm with Nick on that one.
It's better than what they've been doing.
Yeah,
I'm rocking with you, Nick. Again, it's like
But there's no playoffs, though. You got to make the
Raiders
playoffs,
look
man.
good on paper, bro. They gonna look dope on paper.
I guess you got to start somewhere, and I guess like 8 wins for the Raiders is like a playoff. You know what I mean? It really is.
Yep. Right now, yeah.
They must be planning on
Oh shit.
Get Marshawn Lynch out of retirement next.
Hey, bro. Nah, he ain't gonna come. He just gonna be that locker room hype man. I think that's what I would utilize him for if he can.
AKA a mascot.
Nah, bro, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not a fan of the Marshawn, and I'm interested to see how he really feel about Pete Carroll being a head coach over there, because that's his squad.
Well,
And
see,
him and Pete, huh? What'd
he
you say?
Yeah, he acted a fool at his press conference. Pete
He
Carroll
gonna show up for the media.
Pete Carroll's like, man, I can't get away from this dude to save my life.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Is there any chance the Raiders still go after Shador?
Yep.
Yeah.
Have Gino groom him for a year or two?
Groom him.
Yep. I can see that. I can see that being a good fit.
I think that'll be come in, bring a mentor mentor over him and whatnot, and give him an opportunity to learn that NFL game, the speed of it, and all that.
Right.
I believe.
Hey, what was up with Devontae signed with the Rams? So I guess the Rams is moving on from Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
It's over.
It's over. But
They got to be if they sign a Devontae. Why would you bring in Devontae Adams when you got Cooper Kupp and you got two other really good up and coming young receiver, Pakua from USC or UCLA, whatever? I mean, they got to be moving on. I have to check that out. I don't know, but they got to be moving on from Cooper Kupp if they sign a Devontae Adams. They got to be. Okay. But then again, Cooper Kupp hasn't been healthy. He can't stay on the field too, so maybe, the Rams, want to move away from that right now. We need you to be healthy. We love you. You did some great work here, but health wise, you haven't been available. So we're gonna go with Devontae. Okay, we're gonna go with Devontae. But it's pretty interesting what the Rams trying to do. Right, they do have two young great receivers. I understand that, but to move away from Cooper Kupp, sure hands. Hey, okay.
Seeing Darnold signed with the Seahawks for $100 million.
Oh yeah,
man, that was another one. That was another big one too. All right, so but they were having issues with those receivers though. Okay, once they got rid of Geno, it's like, hey, well, I'm out too. Now, who does Sam Darnold have to throw to? Who does he have out there on the other as a wideouts?
Me and Rick, we gonna suit up. I'll put a helmet on right now. I don't even need no 100 mil. I don't even need more than one. Bro, I can do a lot. Just give me a half and watch how I make it work. Hey, Mr. Broke Pockets, I'm gonna get out on there and do my thing, man.
Wow.
Oh, all right. We coming up on the last 5 minutes. I want to turn this over to Tony and Nick so they can have a conversation about our local sports scene and what's going on here. Before we end it, to just give some praise to some people that are some teams or schools that are doing the things that they should be doing around this area.
Nick, I did want to ask you about your book, One Season's Dream. How did you come to that concept of writing this book on this particular athletic program here in Sacramento?
Right. I read this book on Tim Keown, I think I gotta tell you, Keown, that's how you pronounce his last name. He writes for ESPN. He wrote a book 30 years ago called Skyline, about the Skyline High School basketball team. This was a few years after Gary Payton graduated from Skyline. So they were kind of a down and out team that year. This is 1993 Oakland Athletic League. And he just kind of followed the team the entire season in the locker room, during games, and told the story of different players, what they were going through in their lives. Really in depth, really well reported. They also had a first-year coach. So I read that book and was kind of inspired to do something similar. There's not that much kind of in-depth, long-form reporting on high school sports these days, just because the way the media kind of is nowadays. It's a lot of, everything's, going after clicks, and it's not worth it for media companies to invest that much time and resources into a story that's not going to, get the response that's, they're not going to get the money back. They're not going to get their money back on that investment. So what I was doing was a little bit different. I had some time. I wanted to invest myself in the community. I didn't plan on writing a book when I chatted with Mackenzie for the first time. I just knew I kind of wanted to write a series on the team. And, I had the words already written, and I just needed to polish it off as far as editing goes to make it, I didn't want a book with errors in it. So that was kind of the process. I kind of decided after the season was over to turn it into a book. But it was inspired by the work of Tim Keown 30 years ago, who did a similar project with Skyline High School in Oakland.
Remember that, folks, this book, Skyline. I do want to say, we did mention it before we went on the air. We were talking about hoop dreams and the basketball documentary on these two young high school, well, they were middle school, two high school athletes on the west side of Chicago. That extremely extraordinary documentary. You can go out and check that out. But that had started off, they were going to shadow these kids and their parents for 1 year, but it ended up going on for 4 years.
Yep.
So that kind of reminds me of the work that you did, when you decided that you were going to pen one season Dream that started off with a series, and then next thing you know, boom, it's in book form. So what did you learn, during that process, as far as being an author? What did you learn from Coach McKenzie and those kids that you shadowed that season?
I think when I started, my plan, I think I told Coach, maybe come to 5-6 games over the course of the year, maybe a practice or two. That was kind of the initial plan. But I think once the season started going and you see how much the coaches and the players are invested, even as a reporter, you kind of feel obligated to be there game in and game out. So I think I just realized how much time and passion and energy these kids put into their basketball careers, even though it's, just high school, and the coaches as well. They want to win that. They want to hang a banner in the gym. They want to end the season with a W. Mackenzie has them doing practices, in the morning before school starts, just because, partly because at least there's not that much gym space. So they need to share gyms with wrestling and girls basketball teams and junior varsity teams and freshman teams. So, these kids are waking up at, 6 a.m., even earlier, maybe for kids who don't live right next to the school, to practice. And then you go to school throughout the day, and then you got to do your homework, and or you have a game that night. So, just the amount of time they put into this was kind of eye-opening. I knew it, but once you kind of see it in and day out, you realize how invested all these people are into their season. So I felt, obligated to, make sure I was putting in a good effort on my part, because I didn't want to be the squeaky wheel, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty interesting too. And I did want to ask you that question too, since you was an insider. Where did that put you right now after writing a book like that as a reporter? Do you feel like doing that type of work made you a much better reporter? Understanding the communications that happen between reporting and athletic programs and coaches and students.
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel as progressing, advancing your career?
I think I appreciate that I had the luxury of time, and I think time is obviously extremely important when it comes to reporting. When you're reporting for a newspaper, even if you're given a feature story, you might be given 2 days, So you're going to practice, and as soon as you get to practice, you're pulling your microphone out, you're asking coach, the questions you need. But I was able to kind of slowly, I didn't even pull out a microphone until 2-3 months in. I was just kind of taking observations. I might jot a few notes down, but it really helped that I got to organically learn about coach's background, coming from New York, having a professional career. His parents are back on the East Coast, learning a little about his family. And it's much better to do that organically rather than pulling out a notepad or a microphone and kind of having them feel a little bit on edge when they're talking about that. So building that trust was really important, because by the end of the season, the whole season was on the line, and, they lose that section championship game, and they're going back to the locker room, and, they're literally just sitting there in silence for 5-10 minutes. And the work I put in from preseason to exhibition to regular season allowed me to kind of be in that moment with them and not have it be really awkward to where they may, ask me to leave or whatnot. So I think building up trust is what I learned. And if you can if you're able to have more time with the subject, it really helps to, even if it's just a couple hours, to observe them without a microphone, without a notepad, just to kind of see how they maybe notice little quirks in how they work, phrases that they might use with players that might make them a little more interesting to the reader. And being able to do that and not have to rush that process, I think was really important.
That's really important too. I like the way that you mentioned about the trust and the confidence thing, because as journalists, we do consider ourselves as trusted members of the community, truth messengers, and that's really important. Thanks for sharing that. I do have one question. We're going to close this out. We are talking to Nick Lozito, the author of One Season's Dream. What's next? What's next in store? What else you got coming up on your plate?
There's nothing right now. I recently published my first story with SportsIllustrated.com. So I have a piece out there on the A's move from Oakland to Sacramento. So I wrote that, and that's that link is on my Instagram page. But I cover some golf, so I'll be covering some PGA Tour events this summer, as I normally do. I go down to Napa for the fall tournament there, and then there's a golf tournament out in Truckee, so I'll be covering those. But nothing on the plate right now. I need to kind of figure out some stories I want to write and contact some editors and figure some stuff out. I do want to do some more writing on this wrestling team. I spent a lot of time with them over the course of the season, the girls team at Natomas. Outside of Shira Randall, there's some really interesting stories there. Girls who never would have wrestled had they been in high school when we were in high school, just because there weren't girls wrestling teams back then. When I wrestled for Oakland Tech for legendary Tech coach Ashley Sherman, and we didn't have any. He's a legend. I went down to state tournament last year, and I think he just turned 80, but he's still coaching wrestling. And there's not much wrestling in Oakland. It's just not a sport that kids gravitate toward. So it's very rare that an Oakland wrestler does well. But he has a girl down there named Shayna Ward, who finished runner-up in the state last year. And I caught up with her and Coach Sherman this year, and she made it back to the state championship match in Bakersfield. And I don't know if you guys have ever kind of followed high school wrestling, but it was pretty eye-opening to me. You go down to these state tournament in Bakersfield, and for the championship matches, they got two mats out, one for the girls' championship matches and one for the boys. Probably 6,000 to 8,000 people in that arena. They turn out the lights. They put the spotlights on the mat. They call out the wrestlers over the PA. They run out there. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the Tech wrestler lost for the second consecutive year in the state championship match, but she'll be a senior next year. She'll have a chance to put Tech on the wrestling map. But it was cool to see Coach Sherman in that position, center stage, spotlight on the mat, coaching a championship wrestler, because he's had, he's built that program. And they just haven't had many really top flight wrestlers, but the program means so much to Tech, just to be able to have, a coach there for kids to, learn how to, even if it's just learning how to defend yourself and, build up some muscle strength during your high school years. But now he has a championship wrestler. It was cool to see.
I do want to thank you, for sharing your insights, your intelligence, and the background information and all the work that you do. Seem like you got, you about to go into you have many directions that you can go, pathways that you can go. So, I wish you luck on that. And I do want you to come back in the future, and talk about, this Sacramento A's. That's what I'm calling them, in their first season here in Sacramento. But we definitely going to be following your work, because we're always going to use your work, on our programming. Nick Lozito, the author of One Season's Dream, folks, go out and get the book. Google the name. You'll see them all over the place. Once again, thank you for sharing your insight and your work here on Heritage Sports
There
Talk.
you go.
Back to you, Rodney.
Yes, sir. So this brings us to the closing of this Heritage Sports Talk episode that we always do. Like we always say, we listen to the rumors, but we only talk the truth, y'all. We only speaking what's the reality side of it. We talk about everything on the outside, everything on the inside, and everything that's in the cut. I want to thank you, Mr. Ricky Fame, Elijah Lewis, salute, D Speed, my brother. Thank you for joining us. Nick, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, coming to join us. We look forward to the next time around, brother, definitely.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Love you, bro. Thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate you. Hey, Rick Fame, Elijah, D Speed, my colleagues, I love you all, man. Great show,
All
man.
right, brother. Yes, sir.
All
Sir,
right, as always.
Tony,
Peace.
until next time, sir. This is In the
Elijah.
Cut. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. We're here every week, y'all. Until next time, from Heritage Sports Talk, we say for the loved ones, and peace. We out.